That's funny, yeah. So, yeah, anyways, thanks for coming up. I don't think we've actually met this.
Yeah, it's good to meet you, Mr. Renner. Yeah, we spoke on the phone a couple times, but that's about it.
Yeah, so I'm so glad you
What is
love the
that?
home.
Oh, yeah, it's so funny, today's the first, of course, so the first thing I do is I send Michelle the money.
She goes, that's what she said to me. She goes, always on time.
Yes, sir.
Is that like clay, like powder clay, or what is that?
It's the powder.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really nice. Do you guys use the workout facilities at all?
I do,
Okay,
yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, they, upgraded them recently, which is cool.
Yeah, I'm glad they did.
Yeah.
And yeah, such a neat place there.
It really is, and they added a pool, like more on the Georgetown side, it's called Wildflower. She's actually got a birthday party there tomorrow, so,
Really?
yeah, it's pretty cool, yeah.
Cool. Glad to meet you. I can't wait to see if we can make that work for you.
Awesome.
I'm curious.
I'm just checking with my advisor to find out what best timing.
Yeah,
But if you're ready, we could probably be heading down the road pretty soon.
yeah, I'm comfortable with the time frame we talked
Okay.
about, and then, of course, a lot of it depends on the numbers and everything, checking out, interest rates, all that good stuff.
Yeah, we've got time.
Yeah, okay,
So if
cool.
you're comfortable with that time frame.
Yeah, I am, yeah.
Cool. And what's your name?
Kamakulam Juna,
Is that Nick? Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for
that
coming.
one I spoke with?
Yes, I'm the one you spoke with. Yeah. Thank you for coming. Your wife not coming?
No.
Okay,
Oh
so.
my gosh, okay.
Leah, Mariah, okay, Lena? Lena, nice to meet you. Okay, good. All right, well, thank you guys for coming out for the presentation. It's been 40 years since I started this business. I got my first license when I was 19 years old, and that was in Anchorage, Alaska. And I bought my first home when I was 19 years old, so 1983. And so going through that experience of buying that first home and the process at 19, very scary for a young kid, was a pretty neat experience. And when I went through all the troubles of I had some bad credit and I had to, struggles and I wasn't sure. And my sister found this really great house that she was an on-site agent, just like Jenna. And she found this perfect house that we bought. She co-signed for me, got me in, we got into the house. And this is Anchorage, Alaska in 1983. So it was a time when the market started going down, and up there when it was, because it's all oil-based economy, it was like everybody left town. And so I just moved to this great house, and I'm going, oh great, I got a $70,000 house, but now everybody's leaving town, and my family's saying, we're thinking about moving back to California. I'm like, oh gosh, that's gonna be what am I gonna do with this house, right? And so the story, long story short, was that was on the end of a cul-de-sac. There was only one house next to it. That guy was a military veteran, and he served in the Korean War and the Vietnam War. And he has his best buddy that served with him. He wanted him to the lifelong dream was living next to each other. And so I had the only house that lived next to each other. And so he comes to me and I said, okay, I just bought it for $72,000. That's way back then, I just bought it for $72,000. And I go, it's not going to appraise, if you try to buy it and all this kind of stuff. And he was really cool because he goes, son, where I come from, we pay cash. And I said, okay. And he goes, I want to live there. That's my lifelong dream. I don't care. And I'm going to offer you $103,000. This is 6 months after I purchased the house. And that freed up and gave me the cash to move back to California. And so the end's history. So, but what happened during that process, I got to see how everything worked. And I really got, I really liked the idea of the business. So I ended up going into that business of being able to help people all the way through this. And that's been my heart ever since. So I've closed over $500 million in sales, over 2,500 homes. Just started this class in 1993, and honestly, it hasn't changed much since then because the buying process hasn't. There's a lot more technology involved, a lot more, the way we find homes. Back then, when I got in the business, there was a big thing called a book. It was this big, like a phone book. It was the MLS book. And that's how there was no internet and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to talk about some of the things that, reasons why, and the book that I wrote is based on this class, or at least two chapters of it. And that's what you guys got there. I just revised it this year, so it's all up to date with more of the newer numbers. And it's literally, this is my best-selling book, and it helped thousands of buyers through the process. if you look at the book and you just want to read one chapter, chapter 5 is the 10 steps of home buying process. And that's on chapter 5, page 55 is where that begins. So, and that's what we'll be covering that as well on our journey here. So, how many own homes now? How many own homes? Do you own your own home? Okay, good for you.
Used to.
Used to.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been through this process before. Okay, and so Sabrina, you're next. So, so you've been through, but some of the things, you're gonna find some stuff that's in here that's always gonna find something new in this. So, first is security. So the nice thing is that if you're in a lease situation, no moving. In other words, you can't force, people can't force, your landlord can't, you don't have a landlord, so you own it, you can move when you want. So, a lot of times people kind of say, talk to you, like saying, I think we're selling next year, and you're like, oh, I don't want to pick up and move and all that kind of stuff. And so it's like when you own the house, you control your situation much better. All the improvements that we put in, all the improvements are yours. If you rent a house and you put a ceiling fan up, you have to, you usually have to leave it there, or you can't paint walls if you want to. So you don't have to worry about the improvements going away. Second thing is that, third thing is that you have a fixed rate payment. So right now, D.R. Horton's offering 4.99, right? 4.99
Correct.
fixed for 30 years, and that's pre-pandemic kind of interest rates. And so that payment, the actual mortgage payment will stay the same for the whole entire 30 years. And so as we make more money and everything, it's actually the value of money and inflation is actually, after inflation dollars, you're paying less for your housing every month. The interest on the home loan and property tax is 100% tax deductible. So, and then we have military. Any military here? Any disabled military? 100% disabled? Okay, congratulations and thank you for your service. Congratulations, why I mean that is that 100% disability, a veteran doesn't have to pay property taxes in the state of Texas with 100% disability. So that changed a lot of people. A lot of people don't realize, even they've been in the military, and they've come to, we had a presentation at Three Creeks, and they said, I don't want a $1,400 payment. I said, you're 100% disabled? This is about 10 years ago. Yeah, your payment will be $750. Now she owns a house. So it was like, yeah,
Amazing.
I know. So that's what I love about this is like people have questions and sometimes they're afraid to ask. And part of my joy of doing this is that I get to like turn the light bulb on a lot of stuff, and that maybe not fit for you, but maybe there's somebody that didn't know that they. So this is what this is all about. And it really is it's a really exciting place to be. The second thing is your tax benefits. So a lot of people don't realize that your mortgage payment is mostly interest and property taxes. Those are 100% tax deductible off of as an itemized deduction off your tax returns. So really, if you're looking at if you're going to buy a $80,000 house, or say say make $100,000 a year, make $100,000 a year, and you pay $30,000 in mortgage interest rate and property taxes. You're going to only pay taxes on $70,000. So it's like the government is also helping you make the payment. So that's a lot of times, especially first timers don't realize that you're going to have a lower housing cost because of you're not paying as much in taxes. And so we also sometimes, wow, still kind of stretching it. We still have MCC, so right, the mortgage consumer credit, where you get a credit for the taxes as well. You still do that, you guys, right?
We do.
Yeah, so MCC is another thing that adds more of the tax credits back to you. So you're actually going to be paying less than if you're paying rent, because rent is not tax deductible whatsoever. Also, a lot of the portion of all the closing costs that when you close with the builder or whoever, like the points and things like that, discount points, origination fees, those are tax deductible the year that you buy the house. And a lot of times you don't realize that. Okay, I paid 2 points, and that, let's say it's $6,000, it's tax deductible of the year that you buy the house. The second thing is that when a lot of even CPAs miss, and I'm not a tax advisor, so I can't give you tax advice, but even if the builder pays 2 points for you, you can still deduct those points because you paid for it in the price of the house. So they allow you to deduct even if the seller pays, deduct the closing costs. once again, check with the CPA and all that, so that we're not giving advice that's not, I'm not a professional tax advisor, nor do I give legal counsel. So basically, like, you go to your employer and say, I'm now a homeowner, you can take less out of my paycheck every month because I now have this housing deduction. Next is investment, and this is kind of the reason why it really kind of got me started as well. You have, especially when you're starting this, you have your loan balance starts to go down and the value of the property starts going up. So consistently over the last 40 years, values in Texas have been between 4 and 5% on average, if you average out booms and busts and all that kind of stuff. So 4 or 5% and per year. And so you're going 4%, if you buy a $400,000 house in 5 years, if that pattern stayed true, it'd be worth $525,000. And so if you went 3 minimum down or 0 down, you just haven't made $125,000. The ROI is pretty incredible. And then the loan balance goes down every month. It starts off slow at first and then starts going down faster and faster. The neat thing about that first home, or closer like a starter home, is that it could be a really good retirement home. That's actually, Mike, was one of the ideas of the house that you got.
Yeah.
It was just, a house on the lake, and I mean, that would be a great, when I don't need a big house anymore, so.
Kids are gone.
Kids are gone, and so you could, moved on to your bigger house with you raising the big kids, all the kids are up and they're gone, then move back into that house, and could be free and clear by then.
Right.
So it's neat thing is that, it's on the security kind of thing, is that eventually your loan's paid off, and that's a really good feeling. And this led to me taking the same concept of the equity that's growing, and kind of a rich dad, poor dad story, is that I realized that these little houses were also really good investments, because it's like entry-level housing. We're 4 million houses short in the United States right now of the housing inventory for the actual population that needs it. So D.R. Horton, Lennar, these builders are building them so they have a hard time catching up. It's going to take a long time. It's going to take a decade to actually catch up with the housing needs. So in the meantime, I deal with a lot of investors that will that will buy these things with the same concept, that someone else is paying the mortgage for me, and the value goes up over time, and that's been the model. And so so I've sold as many as with D.R. Horton. I sold 10 houses to one. Right here in Temple, I sold 9 houses to one investor. Took 1 house in California and bought 9 houses here, tax deferred, no tax consequence at the time. So that led to me doing presentations in California and other states, and getting people to come invest in our great state. So they did that's what led to over 500 sales in the last 5 years of investment properties and single-family first-time owners. So it's kind of the thing, my business model. I work with helping people that are on the fringes, first-timers, and move up, don't always get the kind of attention, education that they need. And that's what put me on the map, because when I first got here in 1993, everybody had bad credit and no one was helping them. So I said, well, if I can help you fix your credit, then I'll be able to sell you a home. And that was a good model. It became that, being able to help people that are underserved. So Sabrina, can you grab me water, please? So yeah, for investors, the same thing, the same idea happens, is that the values go down, tenant pays off the mortgage. If you do a 15 years, it's kind of a, thanks. A 15-year loan, this is what I do as a college strategy, how to pay for college. When you have your first child, that buy a house, like a starter home like this, and put it on a 15-year loan. And values in Texas double about every 12 to 15 years. So let's say it's a $250,000 house. So you bought it for your kid when they were born. You put on a 15-year loan. It's probably going to break even with the rent coming back and forth. And then by the end of the 15 years, the house would be double, so it's worth $500,000. Now you can turn around and sell that house and pay for your kids' education, or let them live there. It's a free and clear house. Or you could sell that with that much profit, probably put all 3 or 4 kids through college, just with buying 1 house. So that's a neat college strategy. And so you guys have any questions on this? So yeah, the thing we got is here is that the rents are higher right now compared to mortgage payment on a brand new house like we have here, because you get the 4.99%. The rents are actually higher than the mortgage payment. That's what For investors, that's why we have positive cash flow. So that's why we buy positive cash flow plus the payments going down. But for renters, they're like, oh, I go, why would you rent when you can come here, pay zero down or very low, 3.5%, zero, depending on if you're a veteran or not. And then have all the closing costs paid. You don't have security deposit. You don't have, you don't have a down payment. It's basically, is it $50 right now to get in? So that's why you guys are doing it so well. It's kind of like, get out of that, that rental. And we also help people get out of their rentals because we don't want to let a lease get in their way. So we can buy your lease out. We can negotiate. So I own a property management company, so I can negotiate. And we have people breaking our leases all the time, and there's a process to it. But with partnership with D.R. Horton, there's ways to structure it so that we can cover a certain portion of that lease buyout so that it's not a big burden, because you don't want to be called stuck in a lease. I never want to have to see somebody that gets stuck in a lease. So number one, obviously, is to make a decision and to do it. And a decision actually means decide means to cut off from any other possibility, and then commit, and then don't quit. I've had a lot of people that committed and they didn't quit. They got up to 2 or 3 years helping a divorcee through her, all that, and they still were able to buy a house. And they, as long as they didn't quit, I wouldn't give up on them. I've seen people also walk into a presentation like that, walk out, fell in love with the house, and buy it the same day. And that's happened multiple times. And so decide and commit, and then don't quit. And then make it a goal. Write it down. You know all the stuff. Make it a goal. And then you want to also, so if you've got a significant other, you both get together on this. This is this decision we want to do. And then you've got to kind of get with yourself or your significant other and make a plan. And that's kind of like, well, where are we trying to go with this, and how are we going to get there? And making a plan is kind of like, okay, how big of a house do I need? It's like, how long are we going to be here? And then who are we going to get involved in this whole thing? So a lot of times making a plan, you may say, this is what we really want. But you need to combine it with the consultant, which is your buyer's agent, because we can help you ask the right questions to help you make the plan work. So what I have here given in the book is a needs and wants list. And so I always like to have my clients fill out a needs and wants list, because it kind of narrows down what's important and what's not important. And then you take that to your, that's not in here. Okay. Basically needs is needs, gotta have. Wants, be nice to have. And then don't wants. And so needs are kind of like the minimum standard. I'm not gonna move unless I get at least 3-bedroom, 2-bath, or more. Or I'm not gonna move unless I'm in a particular school district. It's a 100% guaranteed. I have this. Whatever is the needs, and some needs are more important than others, and so that's why I like to have people rank them on their own weight. Like, it's a 10. I got to be in this school district, or I'm not moving. And so we talk about these as minimum standards, and we try to meet all those minimum standards. So I like to. If it's on a scale of 1 to 10, if we're not going to be, I'm not going to move unless I get that school district, that's a 10. But if it's a little bit okay, we still do that, but I might move into another one, then it may be a 5. And so, and you'd be other things like game rooms or kitchens. Let's talk about like game room. How important is a game room? Well, to the guy, it might be an 8, and the wife might say it's a 4. Kitchens, gotta have granite countertops, I gotta have the 42-inch cabinets, whatever it is. The wife says, I won't move unless I have that. She may make it a 10, and the guy may be only a 5. So it's kind of, and then that's where the kind of the debate starts a little bit. And then the wants are this kind of the wish list. And we also grade those on, I want to be within 10 minutes of Starbucks or whatever it is. So the wants are, we got your needs, gotta have, and then wants would be nice to have, and then we also started to add the don't wants, because a lot of times people, they don't want power lines over the top of their house, or they don't want I don't like I don't like double yellow lines down the middle of the street. That means it's gonna be a thoroughfare really quick. And that's part of when we get together as consultants, like, we see things that you might not see. If we look at the whole subdivision, all of a sudden, like this happened in my house when I first moved to Brushy Creek in Texas. We were the first one on the street, and the roads hadn't been built yet, but there was already a plan for them. There was a double yellow line down the street, but it was empty. The street was empty. By the time all the houses were built, that was a 40 mile an hour right in front of my house. I had dogs, I had a kid. I'm like, I moved because of that. So that's where we talk about these needs and wants, and then we're gonna bring it to hire your representative, a buyer's agent. And so, buyer's agent, there is a agent that works for on your best behalf. So when you're looking at purchasing a home, you really wanna bring a consultant that has your best interest in mind. And that they ask you these same questions, and they filter it through their years of knowledge to see how we can solve that, how to accomplish what you're trying to do. And it's also to make sure that there's a separation between seller and buyer. So for instance, all the houses out there, including this house here, the sign in the yard, they represent the agent that's on site or selling listing agent. They represent 100% the seller. And their obligation is to get the seller the best possible deal. And if a buyer comes along, they're not obligated to do anything as far as helping them negotiate or tell you about there's a better house down the street that would fit your needs better. That's agent who's going to protect his seller as much as possible. And this person has if they don't have any representation, they're not going to know all the other things that could have been possible for them. So and in the state of Texas now, you really have to actually you have to sign a buyer's agent even before you can actually go look at houses. You have to come into agreement with your hired consultant so that that we know who's on what side and who's paying the commission. And so this gives you separation. And it also, when you have a buyer's agent, you get to be 100% confidential with the information. We've got the consultant who also builds a team. In other words, you have your mortgage company, you have the whole title company, everything. They build a team, your inspectors and things like that. So if you have a buyer's agent on your side, then you can confidently make offers, and then if it's not a good one, you just move on and find another house. A lot of times we see that happen all the time. It's like you walk into, like, Jenny, you got this nice product here, but then you've got a really nice. Tell us about that product that you have that's over here, Lower River Academy.
Yeah, so it's a different product line that D.R. Horton offers in this area. It's closer to Little River Academy. It's Academy ISD. It's out in the countryside. It's a very small community, brand new. They're half-acre lots, a little bit of a larger floor plan product that we do offer. 3-car garages. We've got full sod, full irrigation, full privacy fence. So it's definitely a different product than you would see in some of our other areas. But that's the good thing about having a builder as large as we are is we got a little bit of everything in this area for everybody.
Yeah, so they're the biggest builder in the United States. So they got all that buying power behind them. So that's why they're able to get these prices literally under 200,000, is because they have and they have streamlined everything that they do. That's why they're number one. And they have multiple, depending on your price point, where you want to be in the school district. They have communities all around here that fit almost every buyer need up to about $500,000.
I will throw this in there. The good thing about that I appreciate about working here is that it's the same quality build. So whether you're getting this product over here that's 200,000 or you're getting this product over here that's 400, 500,000, it's the same quality build. You're just getting different bells and whistles. It's all about priority.
Right. So the consultant or buyer's agent is gonna put together your team. I call it a team. It's trusted experts, advisors, and mentors. And that way you've got your mortgage company, you've got your title company, everybody's lined up and they've been working with them people for years. They're inspectors, they know who the good ones are. We help you put together a team of advocates for you to be able to put you in the best interest. There isn't kind of a caveat here if the seller is selling the home and the buyer is okay with working with the seller's agent, I can be, like in your case, I own the house, if you bought it, I can become your intermediary, you don't have to have another agent to represent you, as long as you feel that everything is copacetic. But most of the time, you're gonna wanna have your own representative which works on your behalf. There's another reason for it, brokers have a unwritten communication with each other. If you're a buyer, you go in and try to negotiate with a seller directly, they're not gonna tell you anything about, like, divorces or distress sale. But as a buyer's agent, as an expert, I come in and I say, because married couple, but in the master closet, there's only men's clothes there. So I'm recognizing this could be a potential split up or whatever, which might change the way you would do your offer. The other thing is we would call the other agents that represent the seller, and say, hey, how motivated are they? Because they can't tell you they'll take less. They'll say stuff like, we're not negotiating at all. We've already had offers at that, we're not. Then there's other ones like, yeah, go ahead and bring whatever you got. Like, then they even say, like, well, how much, how close are we? Give me a ballpark, And so that we have like an unwritten, unspoken language between each other that helps put the deal together, so to speak. So let's see, what else about consultants? They'll do an analysis, needs and wants, and then if you once we find out what your minimum standards are, the price range you want to be in, we set up a client gateway, which is an automatic feed that sends you out all the listings as they hit first of all, a long list of everything that's available, and then it sends out every day or every week, whatever you want, even immediately, the next house that hits the market. And that way, you kind of, and if you're looking to buy, if you were doing my house, you start 3 or 4 months in advance, you get the feel for the market, what's going on out there. And so, yeah, so needs and wants and don't wants. You have to sign a buyer's agency agreement. On an open house like this, you don't have to sign a buyer's agent agreement because that's one of the exceptions. So we're at open house, you can go look at the houses and we can show you around. And next thing is really important is, and financing is such a key. We have a big affordability problem in this country right now, as you know, and it's America's home builders, D.R. Horton is solving that along with some of the other builders by buying the interest rate for their buyers down to sometimes under 5%. And that's where we're at with the red tax sales, right, 4.99%. And that's it's a 30-year fixed. So, and then you also pay closing costs on top of that, 2% closing costs. And then, so you can basically, especially for vets, once again, thank you for your service. It's zero total moving, and you don't pay mortgage insurance as a vet. So it's absolutely, VA is the best way to go. We love serving our military and our veterans. So applying for the loan. What you want to do when you're applying for a loan is you don't want to shop for a rate. You want to shop for a loan officer. Somebody who is your trusted advisor that works for you. That if you find, like oftentimes the buyer broker will refer a great loan officer because they've been working with them for years. And if you get the great loan officer, you're going to get a good rate. You're going to get. But a lot of people go out online, they start shopping around with e-loans and stuff, and they end up down this rabbit hole. Don't go to the big box lenders, Bank of America, pardon me, Bank of America, please don't come after me, Chase, don't do it. You're dealing with an 800 number. You may never talk to the same person twice, and it becomes very frustrating. Here's another reason why. When you apply for the loan, you get a pre-qualifying letter. A lot of times we get a pre-qual letter from Wells Fargo. We tell the seller, well, this is probably not going to close on time. You know what I'm saying? So I used to own a mortgage company for over a dozen years, and and I really know the numbers well. In fact, I can pre-qualify most anybody, all day long. A lot of times agents are told not to pre-qualify people because they don't know what the latest programs are, the current rates. But for me, I've done it. I've done loans for so long I can pre-qualify. So you apply for the loan. First, they're going to run your credit. Like to see 620 or above, right? But you've got programs, and especially your veterans. Where can we start at if you don't have a 620? Yeah.
580.
Okay, 580. So So if you're 580 or above, is for VA, because it's manual underwrite. But if it's not, then what's the solution there? The home buyers club?
Yeah.
And you've been very successful, especially in this community with,
Yes.
so home buyers club is it's free, well, no, how much is it to get signed up?
So it's a $39 one-time fee just for the certificate,
Right.
and then everything else is complimentary.
Okay, so for $39, you can get plugged in with a loan officer at D.O. Horton, and they will run an analysis that's very accurate about where your credit's at right now, and if you do this, this, and this over this period of time, then you'll be able to qualify for a mortgage, which is that's a really neat way to be able to get almost free credit repair. And their best interest is make sure you get your loan, wherever you need to be FICO score, so that they can sell you the house. So what's cool is if you run it through, they say, yeah, you could do this in 45 days if you do this, this, and this. D.O. Horton will actually put the house under contract and allow you to proceed with the purchase of the house while they're fixing the credit. So that's something that's been special, and you guys have thousands
Yes.
over the years. So
Yes.
that's got to be really satisfying too, because that's how I got my start, was helping people fix their credit.
Mhm.
It's about 98% of the buyers who complete the home buyers club end up purchasing a home at the end of the program.
Mhm.
Wow, 98%. What happened to 2%?
Well, 90% will buy a D.R. Horton home, 2% probably still bought the home, but
Okay.
not a D.R. Horton product.
Okay, so you're not required to buy a Horton home, but 98% of them do.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, well, that's also probably because the product's great, location's great, and they probably appreciate getting their credit fixed. I believe it or not, on finding, well, we'll talk about it in a second. So, cash and credit are the two biggest hurdles on getting into a house. So, the credit issue can be taken care of. Pretty much, we do it all day long. But you have to run your credit first. A lot of people I don't want to run credit because I want inquiries. Afraid of the hard pulls. You guys don't do a hard pull on that, do you? Or, you do when you go to the club, but even if it's a hard pull, you can have one hard pull and it might pull your score down 2 or 3, maybe 4 points.
Yeah,
But
it's not very much.
It's not much. But then if you go to the next lender, if you do it all within a same 30 to 90 day period, you only get hit once because they know you're shopping. Like at a car dealership, you get maybe knocked 2 or 3 points off, but people are like, oh, I don't want to go every time I apply for a loan, I'm going to get knocked down on my score. No, if you're doing it all the same 30 to 90 day time frame, the credit bureaus only count against you once.
Mhm.
Some other way, looking at pre-qualifying, you kind of ballpark your numbers now. What they'll do, the lender will take your gross income and gross monthly income and divide it by 2, or basically 50% is a maximum debt ratio that you can have. So if you're making $5,000 a month, you can have $2,500 in total debt, basically 50%. For $2,500 a month, that means if you have a student loan of $300 and a minimum payment on a credit card for let's see, $80 on another credit card, you're looking at 324. So you can have a home payment of $2,100 per month. So they take your income or your income divided in half, subtract out your other debts. What's left over is what's left over for a house payment. That's a quick prequel. And then right now it's about this ballpark, just so you can go ballpark, it's about $8 per 1,000. So, $300,000 loan, that's what 20, what is it, 30, what's it, $8 per 1,000, that's 3, so 8 times, there's a $200,000, $1,600 a month, $2,400 a month, if it's a $300,000 home, that's about right, is it the right range? That way you're driving around, okay, that's gonna be about $2,400, that's gonna be about $3,000, that's gonna be about $1,500. Okay. So you apply for a loan. Once you get your loan, you get a pre-qualifying letter that you need to go into to the contract. You can present that, and it gives you the maximum you qualify for. That's what we kind of need to know. What is the maximum you qualify, and you can buy for anything less than that? And a lot of times people realize that they could have bought a lot more because they didn't know about these programs and these low interest rates, or they are out there looking at homes they don't qualify for. So this is actually a prerequisite before you go out and look to find a home. Now, as far as finding the home, we took all those parameters that we were talking about, that you went to your needs and wants list, and plug it into MLS, which has all the listings, or most of the listings that are offered out on the open market. Thing about builders is they don't always put all of their inventory on the market, so you almost have to go individually, especially if it's a long time out that you want to build. Most of the resales are obviously going to be in MLS, but not all the inventory for builders is. So that's one other thing, buyers agents know what because they're dealing directly with the on-sites, we kind of know what's coming down the pipe. So I have a lot more available that's not open to the market until you actually walk in. They usually put their best deals forward, and the best deals you can do on new construction is right now where we're at, where you have end of quarter or end of year fiscal, end of year sales that they really want to push their inventory. And part of the thing is because they want to get their numbers up for Wall Street. And so, good realtors know when these quarters and fiscal year end. For instance, D.R. Horton's September 30th. So we know now it's something where they're really going to be pushing to make those year-end numbers, and then you'll be able to sometimes get a really good deal, especially if you have cash. You can close like put under contract 10 days before the end of the 30th, and they'll take it. So you get some really, really good deals. So end of quarter, end of year is a great time to buy a home. Other ones is the inventory homes. They want to push the homes that are complete, and because they know what their costs are, and they can work with their margins because they know exactly what it is, and they don't want to have standing inventory either. It actually costs them to let these homes sit, and if they sit too long, you get hit. Government hits you with an inventory, or a builder with an inventory tax. So the best kind of deals for builders is going to be fiscal quarter, year end. Also at the beginning and at the end of a subdivision is great. So if you're at the beginning of a subdivision like we are here, they have historically raised those prices over time until the subdivision is built out. And then at the end of the build out, they have this, closeouts, because they want to take their crews and move them to the next, to cost them to keep just there for a few more homes. So they want to move on and get some, move on to another subdivision, so those closeouts can be really good. They also, especially at the beginning of the subdivision, a lot of people can't recognize what it's going to look like as a neighborhood, so they artificially lower those prices to say, well, this is what it's going to look like, but in the meantime, when you have to deal with the construction, we're going to give you a really good deal in the house. So if you're buying a resale, obviously, as being a real estate broker, we can open up all the doors. You don't have to go find keys from all the houses. We get the MLS, and then the super key allows us electronically to get us in any of the houses that are available or make appointments, and that's our job. I've seen usually takes, when we're just on the open market learning about houses, it usually can take 6 to 10 to 12 houses to make a decision on what you want. Then there's other times we just walk in and say, I've walked into a subdivision and said, I love it, I want it, I'm not gonna, you sure you don't want to go see another house? No, I've got it, great, let's write it up. And then there's other times it's a long challenge. I think there's one relocation that came out looking for a luxury home. I sold 27 over 5,000 square foot houses in 2.5 days, in 100 miles apart, Horseshoe Bay. So we get out on the road, we crush it. Sabrina's a road warrior. She's she knows all the subdivisions. Because we also have a management company, so we are renting these houses in the neighborhood, and that's what we want to do. Is we don't even help our tenants. The last 2 houses we sold were tenants that were my tenants, and I'd much rather see them in a homeownership. Or if they're going to buy something, may as well buy it through us. They find the home, and then we're going to negotiate the contract. So negotiate the contract to purchase. And that's where you want to have your buyer's agent and your seller's agent. You want to keep buyers and sellers separate, because it's never really good if you think sometimes they make friends, but oftentimes there's, it's a stressful situation, and then that's not good having buyers and sellers. That's why you have your separation of representation, because the buyer's agent and the seller's agent, they're the ones that can mediate between you. I've had situations where the wife walked through this house and made a comment about some artwork, and the other wife was in their room and heard it, and they said, I'm not gonna sell this house to that woman. I also say stuff like, I've seen it happen where they're in the backyard and, you know, they're like, they go, oh my gosh, this is it, I love this house, this is the one I want. Well, you don't want the neighbors to hear that and report back to the seller that that's the one they want, because that takes all of our negotiating power. So, and that's where we're at now. Once you find the right house, oh, before you do that, this is another thing is, I do the same rank each house in neighborhood on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best. And you can also do that in number of scales, or like, I love the neighborhood, but I don't like the house. So we like to do the house and the neighborhood. And because a lot of times you see all these houses and then you forget which one was your favorite one, or which were the top. So I like to go, if you're ranking them, as soon as you see the house, it's a 5, it's a 4, and then it's 8 or a 10. Then what we do is we only go back and look at the 8s and 10s on our second trip to see around. So rank each one, and then once you find the right house, we're going to negotiate the contract. Usually right now it's buyer's market, so we're usually seeing closing costs being negotiated, price being negotiated, or both. And then we're also seeing the builders are coming out with some amazing incentives, and oftentimes they'll have additional incentives we didn't even know about, like maybe there's a refrigerator, washer, and dryer that's included that wasn't included last weekend. So these are the things that are nice, or maybe you ask for the washer and dryer, or maybe you ask for blinds. This house actually comes with blinds, doesn't it? So blinds, a backyard sod, and all that, sprinkler system. So we're gonna negotiate the contract with price and terms. Price and terms. Usually gonna go back a few times on maybe price and terms with the buyer's agent. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes the builders just have just a bottom line. They're not going below. My job is to get, as a buyer's agent, to get to the bottom line of the seller, and same thing, and the same thing with the bottom line with the builder. Like, come on, is there anything more? No, that's it. And then we've even had seen them come back and say, they call back a week later and say, we still have the house available. We'll take that 5,000 less now. So sometimes it's like, that goes on too. And most of the times, we're able to get price down a little bit, the terms negotiated, because the builders are offering such a great incentives that it's hard for resellers to compete with that. So right now, we're about 6.5% on 30-year fixed, which is not bad, because when I got into business, the rates were just down from 17% to 11% fixed rate. And we had adjustable starting at 7%, that's in 1983. And now we've got, and we were buying homes here in the 90s, 6.5% all day long. That was normal for us. So it's just all a matter of perspective. So the contracts, once it's under contract, you're going to submit earnest money to the title company. And what's our earnest money here?
$50.
So that's all you're out when you find a house here with D.R. Horton is $50. And they probably wouldn't keep it if you backed out. They'd give you $50.
For VA, you get it back at closing.
Okay, for VA, okay, so you get it back. That's zero total move, and you get your earnest money back. So $50 to put a house under contract. Normally on a resale, it's about 1% of the sales price. That earnest money goes to a title company, where it's like a third-party title company that holds the money, and it kind of the intermediary for the processing of all the title work and the HOA and all that kind of stuff. Then we're going to then we're under contract. So going to go back to the lender and say, we were under contract, here's the paperwork, this is where we're at. And they start continuing to now process the loan, and order the HOA paperwork. We'll order the appraisal, and there's a lot of moving parts. The contract's 13 pages long, and with the D.R. Horton, I think it's more like 40 pages long. And every one of those conditions have to be met for it to actually close. So the contract is then is processed. You're going to have your other things we look at when in the contract is you have an opportunity to have the property inspected. On resale homes, on the resale homes, you're looking at usually 7 to 10 days to have your inspections. And so the nice thing about this is your out period. You can back out of the contract for any reason during that first 7 to 10 days. you just don't like which way the wind blows on it, it's unrestricted right to cancel at any time. And then you'll come up with a set of repairs if you need be, or oftentimes we just negotiate for the broken sprinkler head or the dishwasher that's not working. So that gives you time. There's still negotiations going on between buyer and seller during the option period, which is that 7 to 10 days. A little bit different with builders. They are, they're usually want to do your inspections at the end of when the house is built, just before closing, so that they can check out everything, help create a punch list, and have everything else finished out. So at the end is when you want to do your inspection, right around the walkthrough period. So as far as walkthroughs are concerned, of course, you fell in love with the house, but you might not have seen it for, the last 30 days, or finishing the house and everything. That's when you're getting closer to closing, usually 7 to 10 days out, or with a resale contract, right, maybe the day or two before closing. You're gonna re-inspect to make sure the house is the way it was when you found it, and when you bought it, and that there's been no fires or floods or damage to the house. And they're gonna go down the repairs list, and we're gonna check off all the things on repairs. Same thing with the new builder. There's always gonna be something little or big they find, but usually it's something little, and that becomes part of our punch list, and they will take care of that. Nice thing about builders is that they have warranties. You've got your 1-year warranty, which is bumper to bumper. Anything goes wrong, they'll fix it, unless you caused it, like clogging up the toilet. So it's you have a 2-year warranty behind the walls, which is your electrical and your plumbing, and then a 10-year structural for the major components like the foundation, trusses up in the roof. And that's one of the things why we do like new homes, because let's see, Mike, we had to put a new roof on, we had to put a new air conditioner on your house, right?
Water heater.
A water heater, you're done.
Yeah.
So you're good for another 20 years. I
Yes,
think.
sir.
Yeah, so, but yeah, that was that's another thing buying new is having these warranties, so you have peace of mind, because otherwise you have to do that, those repairs down the line. And I always like to think about what's your time frame and how long you want to live in the house. That's really important. If you're going to live there for a year and you think you're going to get PCS, then you probably shouldn't be buying a house. It's too expensive going in, going out. If you're gonna be for 2 or 3 years, it's probably better buy a home, and then if you get transferred, then you can rent it out. And that's why we say keep that first house. It could be your best investment ever. With a VA loan, you're probably gonna have a couple $100 positive cash flow. Sabrina will manage it for you, and you can go on to our last guy just got PCS to Korea. So we understand the military stuff, and my dad was in the military, as a captain in the Army, and that's when I was born. Was in 1963, so that's 63 years ago. That's when, funny, I'm going a little bit sidebar, it's my rich dad, poor dad story in the book. He closed on his first home in 1963 when he was born, $17,000 in San Mateo, California. He paid $17,000 VA loan, and he sold it for about 2 years later for $25,000. That's a percentage, that's a pretty good return, right? 0 VA and then sell it. And then we went and moved to Southern California, bought another house. Can't remember what those numbers are. And then we moved and we rented a house for a while. Then we moved and bought another house. I counted up growing up, we had 12 different houses that we lived in or either owned or rented. And I just one night I was like, let me just go find all those houses, whether it was rented. And what would happen if we just kept every one of those houses rather than selling them and just held on to them. And I counted up those 13 houses across different parts of the country was at today's value is close to $20 million. So if you just buy one house, I always tell our on-site agents, is buy a house in every neighborhood that you work. And next time you move to another neighborhood, buy another house. Next time you move, and because the value is really low at the beginning and stuff like that. And you could put a portfolio of a dozen properties really easily by the time you get ready to, by the time you turn 40, that you have a nice sizable investment package. The best way to do that is to move into it, rent it out, or move into it for a year and then rent it out. And then go buy the next one owner occupied, move into it and rent it out. All right, I got off track because that's what I need to make that point is that is it's really, if my dad had kept all those houses, he'd be what I call an accidental millionaire. Or even just kept that one in San Mateo, it would have been an accidental millionaire, would have been paid off long before he passed. My rich dad is actually, he is my father-in-law, still with us, 87 years old and kicking. And he kept all those properties, and so it's gonna be a lot different story for him and for the family because of the favorable real estate transfer laws for the state. So it's nice to be able to even just give one house to your kids, but what if you could, divide up 17 houses for kids, right? So, so now we're going to closing, and that's where you're gonna bring your money, and then you're gonna bring your IDs, and then you're going to bring, you're gonna get the keys, you're gonna sign out a stack of documents, and you're gonna get the keys, and then the deed, and now you're a happy homeowner. Great time, the first time you walk into that house, for it, now it's yours. It's all the rights and benefits and responsibilities of homeownership. And we love to help people do that, and that's what we do all day long. Myself and Sabrina, and we'll be more than happy to help you guys. So kind of let's connect. I'm not looking for, if you want to go look at some of the homes just to get an idea of what these are like. There's also different levels of D.R. Horton if you want to take a look at those. In my book, actually, and there's a couple homes I have listed. One of them's in Wyndham Hill, up the street here, and the other one is in Belton School District on the west side. And so, if you're interested in looking at anything that's a little bit more in a different area, I can help you with that. So I want to connect with you. I'm looking for really just a Zoom meeting or a cup of coffee, so we can find out where you're at and see if we're, if we can help each other in a good fit for us. So I'd love to connect, and welcome to hang out and chat, have some coffee, go look at some houses, and definitely connect with you and continue the journey. So thank you for coming out. I appreciate it. Thank you for those that hopefully made it on the live stream, and thank you for coming in. So you're going to Hopewell next year.
Yes.
All right. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Awesome. You in any sports?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. All right.
She likes to watch Love Island.
All right, once again, thank you for your time. We talked, chat with you too. You called me and we had a conversation. So, all right, thanks. Well, appreciate you.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Jenna.
Jen.
It's a great presentation.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, you got the memo on the shirt.
Yeah, man, I noticed that.
All right, thanks you guys.